Welcome to Make and Decorate, a podcast for makers who love to sew, quilt, and decorate. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Make and Decorate podcast. And surprise, it's a pop-up episode. It's been a little bit since the season 2 finale episode back in June, and we are kind of in the summer doldrums right now. And I thought you could use a little extra bonus episode to get you through because season 3 is around the corner, but I'll tell you, I'm planning for season 3 to premiere on Thursday, October 1st. So even though it seems like I'm on a long hiatus, it's really not that long because I'm already working on scheduling and producing and recording episodes for the upcoming season 3. So that's why the first year of podcasting, I recorded for the just about a full straight year strong, and it burnt me out. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of ongoing, especially when you're doing it all. So hopefully maybe one day I will be able to outsource maybe like the editing, because the editing takes a lot of time. So we'll see how it goes. But I am so happy to be here and to chat with you all. It's just been a crazy year, and I know that's what everybody's saying, but it is surreal. And this pandemic that we're going through across the globe is just no one in our lifetime has experienced that at all. So, it's I think by now we're several months into this, and I think a lot of us has sort of found somewhat of a new normal as far as routine and just trying to make your life as normal as possible. And so much has happened just in the 2 months since I last have chatted with you guys, and it just seems like this year my little family, me and my husband, are just getting dumped on this year. And I hesitate to say that because I know that I'm not the only one. And I know that there's a lot worse going on out there, but it's a lot for someone to take. And in June, my mother-in-law passed away. She lived in Florida, and it was just a sad time. And with the COVID and everything, there's no funeral. It's the day after we found out about this, I didn't sleep well. I was up early in the morning, and I was driving something to the mailbox. And I got in a car accident. It was a fender bender, and everybody was okay. It really wasn't a hard impact. It was just an odd angle. So of course, then the whole insurance thing and the front bumper of my Jeep had to be replaced. So it's just like the annoyance of doing all that. So the Jeep got repaired beautifully, except for one thing. And this is just the silliest thing, but they changed out the horn, and the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and this is an old Jeep Grand Cherokee. It's like from 2005, but it had like a robust horn. And the reason why I'm so particular about this is because in the city, we have to use our horn. I live where our garage is on an alley, and the traffic in the alley up and down, it is proper etiquette to like lightly beep your horn at the end of the alley facing a street so that pedestrians and cars that may be turning into the alley know that someone is there. So we use our horn a lot. And the first time that I used the horn, it was like a little toy or clown car, and it makes a sound like meep meep. I'm serious. I could not believe it. And I told my husband, I'm like, why did they change the horn? And it's not even like the same sound. And, he's like, it's fine. It's fine. And so the more that I use this horn, the more it aggravates me. And I asked my husband, I'm like, can you install a new horn? And he's like, I can, but it's just a pain to do. And he doesn't really want to do it. So, I don't know. I think eventually maybe he might, but we'll see. It's not going to happen anytime soon. But I'm thinking a safety factor too. It's not really that loud. And I'm like, does this even pass like safety, standards? But anyway, I digress. It's just, I don't know. It's just like sometimes these little things mean a lot. And I can't believe they took away my robust horn. So it's just like one thing after the other has happened in a series of events. And so June was kind of like another tough month for us. And then in July, it was just, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to go into everything, but it just seems like when it rains, it pours. And I'm waiting for the storm to be done. And I'm waiting for now like sunnier times to happen, and good things and good luck and good fortune to be happening. So here's another example really quickly of like all this bad luck that I seem to be attracting or having. Just this week, 2 days ago, I was abruptly awoken in the morning by my husband, and we're talking at like 6:15 in the morning. I am not a morning person. You can't even speak to me. Don't even utter a sound until I've had a sip of coffee. That is who I am. So here we are, and I hear him yelling from the other room, and you've got to get out here. It exploded. I'm like, what exploded? What happened is my husband loves watermelons. So he'll always like get a watermelon, but then we don't end up cutting it right away, and which we should. And I tell him that all the time. I'm like, you have to cut this within a day or so of getting this. You can't just let it sit around. He goes, do you know how long those watermelons have been sitting around at the store? But I mean, regardless, if you want it to be the fresh as it can be, you should cut it as soon as you get it home or soon thereafter. Well, it was sitting on our kitchen table for 1 week, and it exploded on our kitchen table. And let me tell you, it seemed like 5 gallons of sticky liquid had exploded from this watermelon. It was the biggest mess I could have ever imagined in a while. It was just, I couldn't believe it. And I was so cranky. And I was like really upset at him for leaving this watermelon for a whole week. And he's like, I didn't know it was going to explode. It was all over the table, the tablecloth, anything that was on the kitchen table. Of course, there was clutter on there. Then it also was all over the floor, and it flowed like a river because our floor is not level, and it flowed all over the kitchen floor, down through this closet. There was so much to clean up, and this sticky was getting everywhere. And then he's walking with his bare feet around this floor, getting the stick everywhere. And it was just a disaster. I can laugh about it now because it was just a complete and utter silly disaster. So, fortunately, I recently just got a steam mop. It's a Bissell Pet Flow, I think it's called, or something like that, but it's a steam mop. And I have never, I saw it, somewhere. And I was like, how did I not know this existed? So I was very intrigued. Of course, here I go with me. I do a lot of research and try to find the best one in the best price range for me. And I found it, and it works like a dream. There's no like heavy buckets of water sloshing around, a mop. And it sanitizes and cleans your floor with this like hot steam. It's not really good for like unprotected hardwood floors, but it's great for tile, linoleum, laminate floors, and like very protected sealed wood floors. But it's amazing. And so I got that out, and it took several moppings. But it finally got cleaned. So yeah, I think right now, we are all kind of in this quarantine fatigue, and I'm probably right there with you. Even though, I think I handle it better than most because I'm like an introverted hermit, but I'm feeling it. I really am. I really miss going to the dog beach with my dog. The lakefront has virtually been closed almost all year because of the pandemic, and the beaches are not open. So yeah, there's no going down there. And also it's just not a good time to be going down in the city right now, just with everything that's been happening. So you know what's been going on. It's all over the news, and it's unfortunate. It's sad. It depresses me. But I'm not going to stay on that topic because we need to talk about fun and creative things that we're making, and quilting and creating. So moving on. Oh, I did want to mention about that last episode of season 2. It was a great episode, and I got to lots of good feedback from you guys. It was Kate from the last Homely House. She has a YouTube channel, and she is in the north of England in a beautiful countryside. Yeah, that was just a really great episode. And I even heard a couple of other podcasters talking about it. Vicky from My Creative Corner 3 mentioned that she heard it on my episode. So I'm really glad that everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, that's like I said in the episode, it's my favorite YouTube channel. And I love Kate so much. She's just wonderful. And I just received my order. I ordered from Kate's website. She periodically will put items for sale on her website, and they're all like a limited quantity and first come, first serve, and things sell out very quickly. And I have missed out on this handmade soap from one of her friends who is a soap maker. And this time, I don't know, the stars and moon aligned, and I got the email shortly after she sent it, and I was able to get on her shop and get some soap. And then I later learned on one of her YouTube episodes that was the last run of that soap. So I feel very lucky. And my order just came a couple days ago, and the soap just smells beautiful. It's like lavender and lang lang and patchouli. And it's just, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that I got it. And I also ordered one of her English paper piecing pincushion kits. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually made a English paper piecing pincushion myself. I made it for one of the patron gifts, and I'm thinking of turning that into a pattern actually. So I need to find time to actually like get this down into like a pattern format, because I think you guys might really enjoy it. I got this emery powder, and emery powder sharpens your pins, and it's traditionally those little red tomato uh, pin cushions that has been around forever. Well, it's got that little berry that is attached on the top, and it's just a little tiny. Well, I didn't know for years and years that it was filled with emery powder, like a nail file emery board, that kind of powder. And you can stick your pins and needles in it, and it'll sharpen the points. So, yeah, I thought that was a great idea. And I did that on this pin cushion, and I made a hexy shape and that holds the emery powder. So instead of a berry, it's a little hexagon. Um, so hopefully I get around to that. And if you guys want to see it, want me to do it, then bug me, because that'll that'll light a fire under my butt, and I will definitely get working on it. And I haven't done a lot of quilting for a few months now, and I have been itching to get back into quilting. And beginning of August this month, I started a quilt, and I've finished the quilt top. I just have to sew all of the blocks together row by row, and the top will be finished. This is a lap size quilt top, and it is a wedding gift for our cousins. They got married August 2nd, and that was a postponement wedding. They were supposed to get married in April. So it's just it was really kind of cool because, a lot of people just really couldn't travel to attend. And of course, all of the social guidelines, they really couldn't probably have a lot of people there. And they didn't. I mean, it was just a nice intimate wedding, but we got to watch the wedding from home through Zoom. So someone was there recording it, and that was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. I thought it was a very clever thing for them to do, and it worked out beautifully. So yeah, that is the quilt I'm making right now. And it's a pretty simple quilt pattern. It's got a lot of stitch and flip half square triangles. So I was a little rusty on that to start with, but by the last row of blocks, I was really doing much, much better. But I changed up one of the blocks in the middle of the quilt because I wanted it to be special for them. And I got an English paper piece block, the paper templates from Paper Pieces, and it makes a 12-inch square block, and it is a wedding bouquet. It's really pretty. So I pieced that, and that's going to go in the center of the quilt. And yeah, it really does pop out of the quilt because I used an accent color that's not really in the rest of the quilt. It's a nice yellow color, and it's part of the blooms. So I really liked how that turned out. And because it was just the one block that was English paper piece, it didn't take too long. So yeah, I'm going to be finishing up with that hopefully over the next week or so. I am also right in the middle of a commission project. I'm making napkins out of Liberty fabric, and they're lined. So yeah, I've got that on my my work table. What else? Oh, just as usual, just a ton of stuff. I've also been ordering fabrics. Kind of every month I order a little bit more fabric. And for whatever reason, this year, starting in June, I was really starting to think a lot about autumn, fall sewing and Christmas sewing. And I think it's just because of the quarantine, and that, there's a lot of time spent at home, and I'm not distracted by a whole bunch of other things and events. So I started to kind of get excited about of what I was going to make in the fall and winter season. So in June, I pre-ordered, it wasn't out yet. I pre-ordered some Christmas fabric, and I got it a couple weeks ago, and it's beautiful. I love watercolor paint design fabric, and that's what this is. It's sorry, I needed to silence my phone because you guys just heard that little ding. So it is December to Remember. There's really pretty birds in there, and deer, woodland animals, but it's done in more of a painterly fashion, and the colors are really nice. So I really, like, as soon as I saw it, I fell in love with it, and I did a pre-order. And I rarely do pre-orders on fabrics, but this one I did, and when I got it, I loved it, and I can't wait to sew with it. I'm still undecided on what I'm going to make. It's either going to be a lap quilt, Christmas themed, or it's going to be table linens. So we'll see. And then in July, I ordered and received, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this collection. It's by Art Gallery Fabrics, and it's called Spooky and Sweet. And I love everything about this collection. It is right up my alley, has all my favorite colors. Purple is my favorite color. And what I love about it is that it's the traditional Halloween colors, but it's turned a little bit on the color wheel to more of a secondary, saturation of color. So they're a little bit softer. So the purple color is more of like a lavender, and the orange is a little bit more mellow. There's black background fabric in there, and the compositions are so pretty. There is one fabric print in there. It's white on a black background, and it is done in sort of like a toile story type design, and I love it. It's beautiful. It really is so pretty. I love this collection. I love it. I get so excited when I fall in love with fabrics and I get them, and I love them even more. And you want to look at it and pet it, and it's just fun. And it's funny because last year I really didn't fall in love with any fall or winter Christmas themed fabrics. But this year, I don't know, this year they're good. As far as I'm concerned, they're really, really good. So yes, that collection by Art Gallery is really good. I really, really love it. What else? Spooky and Sweet, that's what it's called. Okay, and then I just got what I ordered in August. Okay, so Missouri Star Quilt. You're probably on their email list like I am, and they hit you up every day with their daily deal. And I'm very good at resisting most of the time. But once in a while, they really get me. And if I don't jump on it, when I see the email at the beginning of the day, by the end of the day, it'll be sold out. That's happened to me a couple times. So now if I see something on there and I absolutely must have it, then I've got to go and order it right then and there. So they had a fat quarter bundle of the mammoth flannels in red. And they're gray, black, white, and red. Some of them are plaids, and they're just beautiful. I really love that fabric. I've had a mammoth flannels before. I've made some Christmas gifts from it. And then I saw another Christmas collection that I really loved. It's called Homegrown Holidays, and there is a panel There's a couple of colorways. I got the dark colorway, the one with the black background. And this is more of a farm theme, like farm Christmas theme. And it's very popular. Last year, this theme exploded and it was everywhere. And I usually don't fall for stuff like that. When I see it everywhere, it gets just oversaturated and, you just see it everywhere. And you're just like, okay, I get it. That's the thing of the moment, but I still love it. And it is the theme where it's that red truck with the Christmas tree in the back. So that's what's on this collection. They have a real small print of the red trucks with the Christmas trees in the back. They have a big a square of it on this panel. And the panel has a really big square, and then it's got 4 smaller squares that could make pillows. They could make table runners, placemats, quilts, you name it. So I'm deciding again on what those are going to be. But the Mammoth Flannel fat quarter bundle goes with that fabric collection beautifully. So yeah, I've been collecting some really good fabrics. And there's one more fabric purchase that I want to make before the end of the year. And that is I'm waiting for Tula Pink's new collection that's coming out in October called Line Work. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of my most favorite collections from Tula Pink. It's mainly a black and white collection. And you've probably seen Tula's videos. She has been doing, I think, weekly videos on Tuesdays. And I've just seen videos popping up all the time from Tula, and I try to watch them when I can. This latest one that just came out, I haven't been able to watch it yet, but it looks like she's showing her original collection, first collection she ever did. So I'm reserving that so I can watch it when I get a chance. But yeah, this collection is so pretty. And, she does a lot of animal themed collection, and I am a huge animal lover. I love animals, and I love black and white animals. I have always loved panda bears, lemurs with the black and white tails. Oh my gosh, they are too cute. These are all in her collection. I can't believe it. It's just like, I don't know, kismet, serendipity, whatever. But it's just like she kind of went into my head and pulled out some of my favorite things. And there it is. Zebras. And she's got a couple of prints on there that have a little bits of color. And it's just so cleverly placed. So beautifully designed, and I really can't wait. I cannot wait for that collection to come out. And I like most of her collections. There's a few where I'm, like the one with the monkeys and the bananas was just not a favorite of mine, but that's okay because, it's not for everybody. But some people probably absolutely loved that collection, and it's their favorite. But I mean, the only other collection that has stood out this strongly to me from her collections was Eden. And of course, see, another strong animal themed collection with the tiger faces and the elephants. Oh, I loved that Eden collection too. I still love it. I love it. You can't go wrong with any of her collections, really. So that's what I'm looking forward to coming up. So I know not everybody loves gardening, but I'm just going to give you a quick update of my garden because this is the first time I have planted poppies from seed into my containers. And I also planted a bunch of them in the ground down in my backyard garden. They have started blooming this past month, and they're beautiful. They're so pretty. They're so happy, and it just makes me really happy. So I love flowers for that reason. When I see the flowers on my deck all in full bloom, it's just refreshing for my spirit and my soul. So, and I also planted a bunch of sunflowers and I got probably about 5 different kinds. Um, and I got some mammoth ones that are like the 10-foot tall ones. I got some mini ones. I like kind of like altered the heights of them because, and I didn't even know this until I was looking at the sunflower seeds in the winter. And yeah, they come in all different like shapes and sizes and heights. There's some sunflowers that only get like 12 inches tall. It's crazy. Yeah. So now they are big. They are as tall as me, and they're continuing to grow, and I'm so excited. I am very excited to when those start blooming. So yeah, that's just a quick update on the flowers in the garden outside. Oh, I did have one little cherry tomato plant. I think it was called Sweet Million. And their little cherry tomatoes, they have been just producing tons of tomatoes just on this one plant. And I just like eat them like candy snacks. They are so sweet and juicy and just so different from the tomatoes that you get from the store. They really, really are. I wish I could grow more vegetable-y type things, but I just don't have the space and the time because growing a vegetable garden really does take a lot of time. And even though I love gardening, I really love it in sort of a superficial way where I want to put the least amount of investment in for the most amount of return. So which means container gardens are perfect for me. And the sunflowers are so easy. You just pop the seeds in the ground. I don't have to start them indoors in the winter a month ahead of time to grow little seedlings. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as far as, being a gardener. Just a hobby gardener, that's all. And I love my flowers. All right, I'm going to stop talking about gardening because I know. It's not everybody's cup of tea. All right, let's talk a little bit about QuiltCon 2021. QuiltCon 2021 is going to be virtual. You can enjoy it from the comforts of your own home. And I am looking forward to this. So I registered for this. I almost forgot too. I got the email and they said that they were going to open it on July 15th for members. So I was all geared up to do that. And then just time takes over. And then all of a sudden, it was just a few days before they were going to open it up to everybody, non-members. So I was in a little bit of a panic. And I went to register and some of the classes that I really wanted were sold out, but I still got a few of them that I really am looking forward to. So, and then I'm on a wait list for a couple of them, but I took a really long time perusing the workshop schedule and the lectures, because the lectures are like $10 a piece. And believe it or not, that adds up. And they do have a whole bundle where you can get all of the lectures for a single price. But listen, this stuff adds up. And I had a specific budget in mind, and I was really trying to stick with it, and I'm pretty pleased. By the end, I think that I got a nice well-rounded bit of some lecture classes, some standard classes, and then I got one of the mega classes. So the standard classes are, I don't know the exact time frame, but I know they're shorter than the mega ones, and they're less costly than the mega ones. So I'll just, I've got the list in front of me here. So I got the Boro inspired slow stitching and that is just a hand stitching class, but I've been interested in the Boro stitching, and that is the type of stitch that's used a lot with mending. Oh yeah, so that's the mega class I got, the Boro inspired slow stitching. I'm really looking forward to that. And the I got the Illustrator 2 class, and this will help me in pattern design. So I'm looking forward to learning more about that. I got excursions in hand quilting. So I've never learned hand quilting. I know that there's a rocking technique, and so I'm interested in learning about that. What else? Oh, creating graphic quilts. So this one looks interesting. It is where you sort of take like a graphic and you blow it up, and then that one design becomes the entire quilt. So for instance, one of the pictures of the course description had a picture of the I guess, I don't know if it's the dire wolf or the dragon, but one of those from the Game of Thrones, and it was just the head, but it really had a strong impact. So that one looked pretty interesting, and I got that one. Oral mending, so that's the mini class. That's it. So I couldn't go crazy with all of the classes. There's one that I'm on the wait list that I really, really, really was disappointed that it was full, and I was kicking myself for not registering sooner. And that is the Procreate for quilting. So I've been learning Procreate, the app, on the iPad Pro, and it's really a lot of fun. And I just want to learn as much as I can about how to use this app, because it really has a big depth of features and how you can use it. So I'm on the wait list for that. I really hope that something opens up, but I really have a feeling it's not. So of all of the classes and the wait list, this was really the only one that I really, really want to get. Everything else is good. I'm pretty happy with what I signed up for. And I signed up for several lectures, and I kind of even did a good variety of those, because there's several of them that are kind of in the same category. So one of them is the International Quilt Museum, and it's called World Quilts. So I'm really looking forward to that one. And then there's other lectures about quilt design and tips of the trade for perfecting your piecing, 10 things that judges wish you knew. That's pretty cool, because I've always been kind of interested in, entering a quilt in a juried show. So this will kind of give me a glimpse into that, and hopefully not to be so afraid to do it. So yeah, if you're signed up for QuiltCon, let me know. And what are the classes that you signed up for? It's there's so many. There were just so many to choose from. And it's like you want to see them all, but that would be like a gajillion, bazillion dollars. So you got to narrow it down. So that is QuiltCon, and that will be coming up next February. All right, I have been talking a long time, so I really need to try to wrap this up, because there is a long conversation following with the episode that aired back in February with Sophia from My Great Challenge. If you've already heard that episode, at the end of this first segment, then that's it. You're done. But if you haven't, then it's really a good episode. I know you will really enjoy it. So before we get to that, I do have some things to watch, recommendations. If you have Disney Plus, everybody already knows about Hamilton, and I haven't even had a chance to watch that one yet. But I did watch a show called Rogue Trip, and it is kind of like a travel show, with Bob Woodruff. And Bob Woodruff is a was a war correspondent back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and in about 2006, I would say, he was in a convoy in Afghanistan or somewhere about there and got bombed with an IED, and he got severely injured his head. I mean, he should have been dead. It was just truly amazing story of how he you know healed from this and rehabilitated, and it was a miracle. So he is on the show with his son. His son is like 28 years old, and they go on, it's 6 episodes, so they go to 6 countries, and they revisit the countries that Bob Woodruff had reported from during wartime incidents. So I thought it was just pretty amazing how they did the series. And what they wanted to do was to go to these countries and see it through a different lens, see it differently than when he was out there in covering war stories. And they would show the beauty of these countries and the people there. And some of the countries they went to was Colombia, Ethiopia, Pakistan, and Ukraine. There's a couple more that they went to, but it's just a very good show. And it's very nice to see the father-son relationship and the difference in generations. The father is my generation. He's only a couple years older than me, and the son is just funny. It's just hilarious. So it's a very good show. I really highly recommend this. It's called Rogue Trip, and it's on the Disney Plus platform. Another show, it's not brand new, but there's a brand new season that has been airing on PBS, and it's called Last Tango in Halifax. It is a BBC show, and I don't know what season they're on, but probably the 3rd or 4th season. The first couple of seasons are available on Netflix if you've never seen the show. It is kind of like, I don't know, like a dramedy, sort of a type of show. It has some serious spots, but it also has some humorous and funny, parts. And it's just a funny show. It's sort of like just kind of like I escape when I watch the show. And again, it shows beautiful landscapes of England that I love, and it's good. So the current season is currently on PBS now, and you can catch the previous seasons on Netflix. Another Netflix show is a Canadian show, and it's called Kim's Convenience. And it's a short little sitcom. It's a comedy show, and it's very endearing. It's so funny and it's different, and I really liked it. So I think there's 4 seasons of that, and it's a nice little short show. What else? That's probably about it for now. So I've talked enough, and hopefully you enjoyed this pop-up episode, and I hope you are having the best summer that you can in this quarantine pandemic time, and enjoy your sewing and quilting, and I will chat with you soon. If you haven't heard the episode with Sophia, then keep listening, and it'll be right up. Okay, bye-bye. So my guest today is Sophia, and my great challenge is her YouTube channel. Hi, Sophia. Welcome.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you here. And, for my audience, Sophia has a hugely popular YouTube channel. And my great challenge is like you say it's home management. So like cleaning, organizing, cooking, DIY projects, and a lot more. And I just looked and you have nearly 50,000 subscribers.
Yeah, yeah, it's unbelievable. I never thought
How
I
do
was
you
going to make
feel
it.
about that? That's amazing.
It's overwhelming, but you know what? At the same time, it's very encouraging because I really didn't think when I started the channel that it was going to be something that I would actually stick with. So I started a lot of different projects through my life, and they all ended up kind of fizzling down. And this one, I think, since my first video, which I took down since, because I didn't know anything about YouTube, and I ended up having copyright strike on it because I
Oh,
used some popular music at the time. So anyway, so my first video was in January 2013. So, it's been a long road, 6 years.
6 years. Wow. That's
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah, I just started my own YouTube channel like a year ago, and so it, I really like empathize with you and know what you go through when you film and then you have to edit, and you do it so regularly. That's what I'm trying
Right.
to like get to.
You'll get there. You have to figure out a way.
Yeah,
It is taxing,
yeah, it's a lot of work.
physically and emotionally. It's taxing. I don't think that people really grasp it, the amount of work that goes behind a simple video. I mean, the minute you have to move the camera to show a different angle, it's work because you got to move everything around the camera. It's not that easy. So if you do multiple shots of the same project and you're doing different angles, and then you have to edit that, and you have to be able to show continuity in the video without looking all over the place, it's a lot of work. And then the editing, and then you got to wait for it to render.
Oh yeah.
It's very
You
challenging.
do your descriptions and I mean
Right.
all of that,
And then
but
to follow up with all the comments.
we're going to talk about that later with the comments. But first, I just want you to share your story of where you're from and what led you to even start this YouTube channel.
Well, you can tell I have an accent. So,
I love it.
thank you. I don't. I've spent the last 28 years trying to get rid of it. But I think I'm kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like I'll be 70 years old and people will still hear the accent. It's just will never go away. Because you know what it is? I come from France originally. I was born in France and raised there. And we put emphasis on different syllables. So sometimes when I speak fast, or when you're in front of the camera, believe it or not, you still get this little stage fright, which makes no sense because it's just you and the camera and nobody's really watching you. The accent comes out and I mispronounce words a lot. So I came to the US when I was 22. At the time, I was in film school in north of Paris. And I was doing my bachelor's degree in film. And I had this grandiose ideation that I was going to be a filmmaker. And against all odds, I was really convinced that I was going to be able to make blockbuster type movies, which is the antipode of what the French cinema is all about. So needless to say, I wasn't too popular in French film school. So I decided to do an exchange program, and I came to Brooklyn College, and I did and finished my bachelor's degree in film in an American university. And it turns out that it was pretty much the same thing over there. They were really not looking at Spielberg or James Cameron or any of these guys as being great cinematographer, which I think is a mistake on their part because they make pretty good money and they have very entertaining movies. So after finishing my bachelor's degree, I realized that, you know what, maybe I just like to watch the movies, not necessarily make them. So I decided to take a class in psychology, and that was it. I got hooked, and I took a second bachelor's in psychology. Then I went into criminal psychology,
Ooh.
and finished that and worked in corrections and all of this stuff. And then the YouTube started to be a pretty big platform. Like when YouTube started, people were watching, but it wasn't like something that everybody knew about. Like not everybody was watching YouTube. And then YouTube became popular, and like everybody else, I started watching YouTube, and I found myself watching or being drawn to channels that were talking about subject that interested me. I've always been into attempts to being the perfect housewife, trying to manage a household. I've always struggled in those areas, whether it's cleaning routine, budgeting, putting a house together, having the children. I had this idea in my head that I needed to have the perfect American house that I grew up watching movies, American movies. You know, the perfect little green lawn in the front with the 2-car garage, and everybody's got a car, and the kitchen is always clean, and there's always fantastic meals, and she's looking great, you know, and I always aspired to that, and I thought this was a reality. So I looked for this type of videos on YouTube, and then it dawned on me that it was not real. It was fake. I watched a lot of videos where you would have this 26, 27-year-old girl living in some gorgeous mansion, everything white and gray and silver. And she's here complaining that she has to drive her husband's BMW back to Nordstrom because the Valentino purse she bought is cutting into her shoulder. And here I am, it's 7:28 in the morning. My dog just got sick in the middle of the kitchen, and I got 2 minutes to clean it up and go to work. And I don't know what's going on for dinner. And I haven't cleaned the bathroom in 2 weeks, and I got cat hair all over my car seat. It's just, I just couldn't connect with that. And I said to myself, wait a minute, it can't just be me. It's got to be other people out there who feel like me, inadequate and like total failures when they're watching those YouTube videos. You feel fat, you feel poor, you feel like you have horrible clothes, you feel like your kids are unruly, your dog is ungroomed, your car is broke. I mean, it's just like, you feel like a total failure. Like, you know, across the board. And I said, no, there's got to be something else. So I decided to start a YouTube channel, and I called it My Great Challenge, because that's what it is, home management for the rest of us.
Yes.
For those of us who really cannot identify for this whole group out there that just appears to be so perfect. And make us feel like we're not. And that's the story behind the channel. And trust me, I'm still not perfect. It's still a great challenge.
You're describing me and how I feel in that whole thing of like the failure and all that stuff. And for me, even more like, you know, I'm in the interior design business. So I get embarrassed about my house a lot because, you know, I don't, you know, have the income that the clients do.
Right.
And I'm not buying a $10,000 bed. And you know what I mean? And so I get that same sort of insecurity and feel like, you know, things have to be a certain way. But, you know, the more I watch your channel and I see how real you are, it just, you know, puts me back into like, you know, this is the real world. This is, you know, this is my world. That's not my world. It's just, that's my work, and that's a whole nother dimension.
It's pretty to look at, but it's not real. And it's not being managed by one person. Or if it is managed by one person, it's one person who really doesn't have anything else to do or worry in life. At least not at the level that we do. And I'm looking at the background behind you, and on your camera you can see the background behind me, and it's the same. You notice, right? It is. It's just a bunch of shelves with a ton of books. We don't know what really is there. I'm sure there's a couple of started project that was never finished.
See, I'm telling you, we're the same.
It's real life.
I
it's
love it.
it's the
I
rest of
love it.
us.
Yeah, I love it so much. Yeah, and you're right because being in this um, fancy interior design world and these people with the big houses, they have help. I see it. I see it all the time. They
Right,
all have the housekeepers that come more than once a week.
right,
They even have their laundry done by them. They have whatever contractor at their disposal, and that's how things can be perfect all the time.
right.
We have to do it ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
if we want, like for instance, you did a stair project and it was amazing. I was amazed. So we'll get to that in a little bit, but um you have a way of presenting everyday home management in a very real and doable way. And it's very inspiring for me. And I think with all of your subscribers, you inspire a vast majority of people.
Right.
So I love that. Because honestly, I hate cleaning. I do not get excited about it.
There's nothing exciting about
I
cleaning.
don't
The
love it.
after is exciting,
It
but it
is
doesn't
when
stay
it's
exciting very.
done. Yeah, when it's done, I feel like, oh, this is so nice. But just to
Right.
get myself up to do it is like pulling teeth. And I am a procrastinator, and I would much rather quilt and sew than, tackle a deep cleaning project. So
Right.
then I watch you, and then I get inspired, and then I go do something. So I love that. And I think that's probably part of, why you keep doing your videos, because you must get some of that kind of feedback from
Absolutely.
people.
I get a lot of mail, and it can be overwhelming sometimes because I'm so behind. Actually, today I just finally responded to something like 30 something cards that I received. I get a lot of mail, and you'd be surprised how many people really open up in the mail and tell me, listen, I was really, really down, and I went through a very deep depression, and I watch your videos, and just your naturalness and just the way you're not afraid to show the dust bunnies and how it gets messy, you made me feel normal. And I thank you for that. And that motivated me. And I figured if Sophia can do it, I can do it. And guess what? I picked myself up by the bootstraps, and I started cleaning a little bit, and I played your videos in the background. And now my room is clean, and I'm so thankful. I get this kind of mail all the time. And that's probably why I continue to do this,
Hmm.
because it works. You're not going to show just the after product and tell somebody, look at how beautiful your house can look, if you don't show the real process behind it. And it can be, and I think I mentioned that in the video a couple of weeks ago, it can be very addictive to work through an area that is in such total disarray and make a clean spot, and then like a concentric circle, right, or a ripple. You just go from there and you clean up this whole area. Just the before and after that you experience when you're doing this, I believe can be very addictive. Like just some people can really appreciate that when it's just slightly disordered or just a tiny bit dirty and you clean your routine, there's no real satisfaction coming from that,
Hmm.
at least for me. And I believe that there's a lot of people who are like me. They have to have this drastic
Yes.
before and after in order to feel accomplished, in order to feel like they've actually done something.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's what I show in my videos. I
You
don't have any
do.
problem showing you the dirt, the mildew, the listen, I have boys, okay? Let me not talk about the toilet. Right? But I'll show that too because it's real.
It
It's
is.
real life. You
Hmm.
you have boys in the house. You know what your bathroom smells like at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know?
Yes. I love it. Um, yeah, and it's funny because not knowing your background, I always thought she is so natural on this film, and she gets these angles, but you went to film school. So you kind of have that positive
Right.
too, because you really know
Well,
how to capture things
I'm
like
trying to
that.
get a little bit more dynamic into the video because it can get it's so redundant. I mean, how many times, and I say it all the time, how many times do you guys need to watch me clean my kitchen or scrub my sink? But people love it. I just got a message the other day from a video I did this weekend where somebody says, Sophia, I will never get tired of watching you scrub your sink.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to me. Like it's actually some people are drawn to this. They have to see it. It motivates them. That's what keeps them grounded.
Right.
So
Yeah. And let's talk about cleaning and organizing. So, one of the things too that amazes me, I don't know, you have this magic spray bottle. And it's not like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's your own mix or because it's just like a, a plain spray bottle. It doesn't have like a label or anything on it. You
right,
carry it around with you. It was on a video you did in your basement. You were cleaning the laundry room. And
right.
then you were just, oh, I'm going to spray this and clean it. And I'm like, that's amazing. Like, everything that you clean, like you are able to get it to sparkle. And that to me is like amazing. And I need to know like that magic. So,
So
yeah.
what do I use?
What do you use?
Well, number one, you need to have really good microfiber. Not all microfiber cloth on the market are alike.
Mm.
Some of them are very good quality and some of them are cheap quality. And when you use a cheap cloth, you're going to get a so-so result. So the ones that I'm using, when you see me using the purple ones, they are from the Fly Lady. And they were sent to me actually by a subscriber named Gail. And I'm so ever thankful for her sending me those because they are super heavy duty microfiber. It's you can see it in the fiber itself. It's very dense. When you look at the cloth and you kind of like try to open it up, you can't really see the little hooks of the little loops of the microfiber.
Oh,
It's
okay.
that dense.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go over surface with it, it really takes everything off the surface. It doesn't leave any stain. It just removes everything.
Oh.
And for cleaning, I use my own mix, which has been on the internet forever now. You just basically take a spray bottle that you emptied out or that you finished, and you put about half of the bottle with warm water, the other half with white vinegar, and then a few squirts of Dawn detergent, the blue one, the one that cuts the grease.
Cuts the
Just a few
grease.
squirts,
Yeah.
right? And because the water is warm when you do that, and you don't shake the bottle, but when you move the bottle around, it will dissolve the Dawn, and then it doesn't reconstitute. It stays dissolved in the mixture, and that will remove everything. The water is
Oh.
for the liquid part. The white vinegar disinfects, and the Dawn really removes all of the grease that prints whatever. So that plus the microfiber, you can clean any surface.
Wow. Yeah.
Any
I've
surface.
seen you do it and I've been totally amazed. But I didn't know about that good microfiber. That makes sense. It really
Yeah, you gotta
does.
don't hesitate. I mean, we go to the dollar store all the time to buy cleaning tools. Don't buy high-end cleaning tools. That's something that I've learned over the years. Because nothing compares. They last longer, they work better. Yeah, you're gonna spend more money, but look how many times do you go to the dollar store to buy a sponge?
Mm-hmm.
And just buy a good one.
Right. Yeah. And then furniture polish. So you have beautiful wood furniture, and I've seen you do your dining table, and that is also an amazing transformation. So I think it's the furniture. Is it the furniture polish that they sell in the grocery stores? It's like the.
I have several ones. There's one that I like the most is lemon oil.
Oh, that's right, lemon oil.
Lemon oil, I think it's Wayman's lemon
Yes.
oil, but there's different ones. Lemon oil is great for furniture that doesn't have any varnish on it. So if you have, let's say, an antique piece that was passed down to you and there's no polish on it. There's no polyurethane or any shellac or anything.
Oh,
The lemon oil is wonderful because it penetrates the wood. And that's one that I use on the dining room table that is now a coffee table that I have in my living room.
I
That
love
used
that.
to
It's a
belong.
huge round table.
Right, the huge round table that was cut down by Scott's step grandfather way back in the days. We're talking 1940, 1950, and that is wood that was never polished with a shellac or anything like this. So if I put the lemon oil on it, it really absorbs it, and I use that a lot during the winter months because that table is across from the fireplace, and that will dry the wood.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm nourishing and moisturizing my wood with that. Now, the other one that I use a lot is Restore Finish. And that you can find at your hardware store. You may find it at more specialized cleaning supply stores like I think Bed Bath and Beyond has it in the cleaning department. It comes in various colors. You have the neutral, there's a walnut, there's a cherry. So it has a tint to it.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is for furniture that already has a finish on it.
Okay.
And sometimes the shellac kind of like gets removed. You can see scratches or these areas where you had a watering or something like that on it. And you put that on and it just gives it a very thin extra coat of that shellac, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't last forever. It will eventually, as you wash and clean your table, it will eventually comes off, So you got to keep reapplying it every so often, maybe once a month, but it gives beautiful results.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Your dining table was like new. It was like sparkling and, polished, and
it's a street find too.
We're going to talk about that too later. That's pretty amazing. So, yeah, it's really cool because I learned certain, you have really good cleaning techniques and tips, and DIY projects. You just seem to be able to do anything. You do so many different types of DIY projects. Like I talked about earlier, your basement stairs, and didn't you add some molding to the walls up the stairs? And
I did that, and then the office makeover was something else too. If you remember
I saw
that.
that one. No.
I completely gutted out the office and I built in. I have built in. The bookcases that you see behind. There's a bookcase that are built in that I built, and the counter where the computers are. I do a lot of stuff myself. Yeah,
you do. Yeah,
one,
you're not afraid
I'm cheap.
of tools.
I'm not afraid of tools. I'm cheap, and I also don't have the funds. I mean, come on, we live paycheck to paycheck like everybody else. When you got two kids, it's
but this is the inspiring part of what you do, because sometimes when I don't have the funds, then it doesn't get done, and then it's it just looks terrible, and you're just oh, I wish I had the money. Well, you can do it. I watch you.
Absolutely.
You install the faucet. Well, my husband installs our faucet, so we can do that. But I mean the stairs, the basement stairs, and the molding and stuff like that. So, and I have these old kitchen cabinets that really should be ripped out, but we can't. So I'm going to repaint them, but they look like boxes because the top is just straight across. So I watch you put in this molding, and I'm like, I am going to put some molding on top of those cabinets.
Yeah, you can totally do that. There's so many things that you can do yourself that you don't need a contractor for. And I'm telling you, YouTube is a wonderful resource for things like this. If you want inspiration or if you want to learn how to do something, go on YouTube, watch 10, 15, 20 videos. I'm telling you, there's going to be some guy out there who's going to show you exactly how to do it and bring the confidence that you're lacking when you're thinking about doing something yourself. And I do a lot of trial and error too. And then it's the beauty of editing, because you guys don't see me curse.
No.
when I do the projects, there's a lot of lapse of time that are not accounted for in the video. Like something that looks like it only took 2 hours may have actually taken the entire day because I had to rip something up.
That's what I wondered
start
too.
over.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on. This is real life. Nobody's perfect. Sometimes the nail hits a hard surface and it doesn't go through.
Yeah, yeah. You and then your outdoor deck, you stained that, you power washed it and
Yeah,
stained it and
yeah, that was needed.
um
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. And currently right now you're about to, well, if when the weather gets better, you're repainting the columns in front of your house. And
Right.
I
Yes.
did watch you spackle the wood. So yeah, it's just really cool. It's just like some of the stuff that, I may not know how to do that part. Like you do it. Like you spackle and you stand it and get ready to paint it, and then it looks beautiful. So I love that about your show.
I enjoy doing it too. I think that if I had not picked the career path that I took, I probably would have totally digged a trade school.
Mm-hmm.
Like carpentry or
Mm-hmm.
masonry or something like this. And it's so unfeminine when I'm trying to be the perfect housewife. But it's like you can't make up that kind of contrast and paradox. But I've watched my mother, most of my childhood doing projects like that around the house. And I think the first time when we were in south of France, and I think I was maybe 12 or 13 years old, we had a kitchen that was downstairs, and mom wanted to have a kitchenette upstairs. And there was this big walk-in closet that was totally useless in the house we lived in. And her and I transformed it into a kitchen.
Wow.
And the only thing we didn't do was the plumbing installation, but we did all the cabinets ourselves. We did all the wallpapering and the tiling and everything. And I was 12, and it was fascinating. I felt so accomplished.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where you get it then. And that's, you're used to it growing up with it, and then I think you're not as intimidated to try something and to start it.
right. Yeah, I'm not afraid. That's
Yeah,
true.
and you're not afraid to mess up. And I've even seen you say, "Okay, I tried this and that didn't work, so now we're going to go do this."
Right.
Um
That's true. And there's a lot of stuff that, if only you knew how many videos I've done of projects that I ended up not putting on YouTube because they ended up being a total disaster. And I'm always thinking maybe I should keep like a bloopers file
Oh
and
yeah.
do a video just on bloopers on all this mishap and me falling off the ladder and
Oh gosh.
all the
That's
stuff.
funny. Yeah, so you're super handy with the tools, and recently you fixed a music box. Again,
Yes.
I was like astonished, and I'm sitting there watching you and I'm like, how is she going to fix this? And I can't tell you how many music boxes that I could have saved to fix after I watched your video,
Right,
because
right,
when it's
right,
wound, it was wound too tight. And then at that point, I always thought, and a lot of people think that like it's broken, like there's no way,
right.
it's like it's got to
Hmm.
go.
Right.
So, you peeled off the back, and you're very patient too. Like I wouldn't have been that patient,
Mm.
and you slowly worked in this oil, and you were making the parts move, and it was fascinating. I
Right.
was really like, wow.
That's actually something that I knew how to do beforehand because I had music boxes when I was a kid, and I had a brother who was kind of heavy-handed, and he always overwound my boxes. So if I wanted a box that worked, I had to go and figure it out. And over time, I learned how to do it. But again, I'm getting a lot of comments of people who are so fascinated with that particular video, which I really didn't think was going to be a big deal. Like I thought that this video was going to have the lowest count in terms of views
Oh, it's
in the entire
fascinating.
series. But it's almost like 10,000 views right now, and it's like amazing to me.
Right?
And I have people telling me I'm going to Goodwill to buy a broken music box to see if I can fix it.
I know.
Because
I
we all
kind of
want
wanted to
a
fix one
sense of
too.
accomplishment. We all need to feel like adequate, like we can do something.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
So, and
absolutely.
that's real. To me, that's very real. Like
Hmm.
you can, and there's so much stuff out there that people throw away because they believe it's broken.
Yes.
And you can upcycle, you can give it a second life, you can incorporate it into something else. I mean, there's so many things you can use and
Hmm.
reuse, even though the expiration date or they look like they've been dead for a long time.
Yeah, that you do very, very well. Before we get to that, because that's a huge topic I want to hit, is the thrifting and the finding gems. But I want to touch on home deck.
Right.
So you've installed drapery, you've redecorated a lot of the rooms in your house with furniture finds from Facebook Marketplace, um, and accessories. And
Mm.
your decorating style to me is traditional, right? Would you say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Traditional, but also kind of eclectic because they really,
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, it's not picture perfect, but I think it's me.
You do it really well, and I feel like it's also updated because it's not like that scary Victorian where it's so much stuff. You
Right.
find these key pieces and you have a really good use for them. Like you got a curio recently, you got a curio for your dining room, and you said you had been looking for that for a while. You know exactly what you
Hmm.
wanted,
Right.
and I love that you use these pieces that people just discard now.
Because we just got through a whole series, like in the past 10 years, I would say, where it's all about getting rid of stuff and everybody wants to be minimalist and they don't want to be burdened by their parents' belongings and everything. But let me tell you, eBay and Etsy would not be making or reaching the market that they are if people were not looking to buy back the childhood items that they've lost.
Mm.
And there's a lot of things that are on Etsy or on eBay that are vintage things that people used to have and they miss. Oh, my mom had this, my grandma had this, and they want to buy it back. Everything goes through cycles.
Hmm.
I really believe this is going to be reversed.
I hope so, because it really is disheartening to me. And even being in that industry, seeing that heirloom furniture, and I have seen a lot of companies close down, a lot of like family owned companies that make this handmade artisan furniture because, people aren't buying it and they don't want the whole heirloom thing anymore. And in
Right.
fact, in New York now, they're renting, like they want to rent furniture. They don't even want to own it. And
Right.
so I just don't quite grasp that because I think that heirloom furniture, first of all, it is so well made
Right.
from real materials, like real wood,
Hmm.
and it is constructed dovetail joints, like real craftsmanship
Yeah, it's the
level.
real deal.
It's the real deal, and compared to what's made today and
And
sold.
it stands the taste
The test of
the test of
time.
time,
Yeah.
and you can pass it down
Hmm.
and it carries memories and history and you can't find that from particle board, sorry.
No,
And but
no.
this is, it's what we see today in the new generation is the disposable generation. They only want things for the moment and then they'll change idea. And that's why I think that stores like TJ Maxx or even Home Goods are popular because you can just flip your decor in one weekend if you want. If you're tired of the gray and pink, you can go and get all turquoise and orange, and they will have all of the decor you need like in a box, and you just open the box and you put everything in your living room, and voila, you have a totally different atmosphere. And people don't see value in a decor that just persists through time. Like I remember when I was a kid, we would go to my aunt and my uncle in south of France, and their house never moved. It was exactly the same way on year 1 or year 15. Like and I was going there from age 3 up until one of my cousins got married. So I had to be 19, 20 years old. And the clock was exactly the same way it was before on the mantle, flanked by the same two statues with the same plant in the corner, which of course was now huge. And it's just like the whole decor was just did not move through time at all. And I think that the new generations we're dealing with, they don't know what to do with that. They need this movement, they need dynamic, and they need that in their decor as well. So it's very fleeting, nothing stays. And that's why they're okay with renting furniture. Because if you buy a piece, you're committed to keeping that piece. So what you got now? You're going to go from point A to point B. You move from one house to the other. Now
Yeah.
you got to carry that piece, and they don't want
Yeah.
that. They don't.
Yeah, and it just kind of saddens me because then they have absolutely no idea of how to determine quality from
Right.
not quality.
That's the downfall. Yeah, they don't know what's good. I mean, look at the piece that I have in my dining room. That was Scott's great grandfather. He pretty much built that piece, and I don't think we can find a craftsman today that can reproduce this.
Right. Yeah.
Even if you go to Virginia, where they have all of the, the South Carolinas, where you have all of the furniture makers, the Bob Mackeys and all of that, I don't even think they have that quality furniture anymore.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, I used to work at a furniture store that used to have everything made on the East Coast, um, up and down, like even in New York, all the way down North Carolina. And then 6 years later, by the time, I left there, they started outsourcing all the dining chairs to China. And then they were having problems with the dining chairs finish matching the tables that were still made here. And it
Right,
just
of
did not make
course.
sense to me at all. And I was just like, oh man.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's terrible.
Hmm.
That's sad.
So yeah, that I really appreciate with your home and how you have it decorated and how you make it just very welcoming and inviting. It feels very warm and inviting to me, and not sterile and cold, and like even
Lived
like
in.
yeah, lived in. Not like you can't touch anything. You cannot touch anything in
Right.
this room. I feel like you could walk into the room and sit down and
And you're welcome to touch anything because I love to talk about my stuff.
right.
So you can pick up anything and say, hey, what's the story behind this one?
And you have a really vast knowledge of stuff, like the different types of pottery and dishes and even furniture and stuff like that. Like you have a knowledge of vintage dishes and
Mm.
stuff like that. So, I
Well,
mean,
thank you.
how do you know so much about this? Is it from you growing up in France, or just that you have an interest in it and you've kind of learned over the years as you've started to source
Um,
things?
a little bit is definitely growing up in France. My mother always had an interest in empire style furniture, and we always had antiques growing up that were purchased. They were not passed down, but things that were purchased, and we always went to museum. I was, I've been around, but I I can't say that I knew a lot about American furniture and decorative arts when I moved here.
Okay.
It's something that I picked up as an interest. And I have to tell you, not watching TV really helps because I don't waste time watching TV. I nourish myself through books, videos. I go on YouTube a lot. I go on the internet a lot. And if I find something and I don't know anything about it, I will go and try to grasp as much knowledge about something.
That's
Like,
what I do. Yeah.
right.
I
So
love it.
over the years, you keep doing that, and then you end up having this encyclopedia in your head, and it's not all knowledge. You don't know everything, but you know a little bit about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it keeps growing and growing. Like, I don't think I know a lot about pottery, but because identification of marks is something that I still struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned an appreciation through the years.
Mm-hmm.
I can distinguish a good piece from a so-so piece.
Yes,
from
you have a
a
good
piece.
eye. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so and that's something that you practice.
Mm-hmm.
But china and crystal and decorative items have always been a passion of mine. I absolutely love china and I love crystal. And you can tell because Lord knows I
Yes.
have too much of it, but
Yes, I
and
can
I could
tell.
say I don't have enough, but that's
Well,
my opinion.
and the one pottery that I ended up learning about because of one of my clients collected it was French confit pots. And
Oh yeah,
they are very, very expensive here. I don't know how expensive they are over there, but
not at all.
see, oh,
Very common over there
oh my
because
God.
it's It's a traditional pot to put foie gras in it, and to put different types of terrines, and I mean it's like everything else. You have some that are pretty ancient, but it's a very common pottery because it's a how could I describe it? It's an everyday object.
Right. That's what I learned about it. It's like an everyday thing. And I'm like, how are these so expensive over here? But I guess because they're from France and,
Yeah, exactly. As soon
you
as you
know,
put French label on
right,
something,
right,
it's
right.
which really makes no sense because it's not a big deal over there. But do you remember when I was talking about the French in the videos from Paris, and I went to the flea market,
Mm-hmm.
and there was this lady who was selling vintage linen from the 1950s, and my mom and I looked at them, and we knew right away they were very good quality linen, and the lady was selling them for €8, which is about $9 a
Oh, wow.
piece. And she told us, American women come here all the time and they buy them by the dozen and they resell them on Etsy. I don't even know what Etsy is. and I'm told they sell them for like $34 a piece. And I said, well, you get on it.
Yeah.
And that's basically because it's French. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dish towel, but it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good
It's a
quality
good one.
So let's talk about, because I'm very curious about this, because you do videos about, thrifting and finding these gems, not only for your home, but you have an Etsy shop called Frenchie and Tubby.
Right.
And I actually bought something for you because I love Delft ware, and you had this
You bought the
beautiful
picture.
Delft base. Yes, I love
Okay.
it. I love it so much. I love blue and white dishes like the china and stuff like that. And
Right.
Delft is something that is still kind of accessible that I can collect because like there's this German Meissen that is so expensive, and it's also blue and white, but it's gorgeous. So
Right.
yeah, but
It's nice. Yeah.
yeah. So you've done some videos and they're pretty educational, I think, because I love how you walk through wherever you're at, whatever thrift shop or something, and you're going through and you're picking stuff up and looking at it. You're looking for marks, you're looking for if there's chips or like if there's mugs or glasses, you want like at least 4 of them. You're not going to take 3. And so
Right.
talk about your process and how you do that.
Well, I mean, this is fairly new to me, the purchasing for the purpose of reselling, the sourcing
Mm-hmm.
items to put on the shop, and that really came out of necessity because, as you know, my husband had lost his employment back in March. I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I got to put my talents to work. I figured, all right, let me see if I can challenge myself with this one. And I really embraced it. I was welcoming the challenge because I love my thrifting.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's another one of those things that you learn as you go. I have, I believe, a photographic memory, and I spend a lot of time, again, on eBay, on Etsy, and I just browse. I just look at things, and memory is such that I can remember items and the price and something similar. I will spot it on a shelf at Goodwill and say, "Ooh, I know I can sell this." So I would inspect it, and if it looks like it's in good shape, then I will grab my phone and I will check against, whatever is currently for sale on any platform. And I got to tell you, image recognition is a fantastic tool for that, because you can take a picture of the item against, a relatively white background. Usually I use the ground, the floor at the Goodwill, and you take a picture of it, and then you do, on my Android phone, it's called Bixby Vision. But on Apple, I think it's just the Google reverse image. I think that's what they use. And it will find, I would say a good 70% of the time, it would find the item for you.
Really?
And then you get an idea of what to call it. Because sometimes I look at things, I have no idea what they are.
Yeah.
I give you, for instance, I just found 3 what they call piano babies at a thrift store over the weekend. And I had no idea what a piano baby is. And it's basically a porcelain figurine of a little baby And they used to make series of them. They were made very well made in Japan at the time where Japan was exporting a lot. So that was, 40s, 50s, up to the 60s. And people used to place them on the pianos.
Huh.
Because back in the days, ladies knew how to play the piano. That was part of the education of a proper lady. And they would know music, and they would put those little babies on top of the pianos in the home. Now you can't get rid of your piano because people won't even pick it up for free.
Oh, I know. I have to tell you about this good find I got like 20 plus years ago. Because I took 12 years of piano lessons.
Oh,
And
wow.
I like to, still
You for that.
play. So, looking for just like a used piano because, the ones in the stores are like $20,000 to $40,000. Well, I found a 1910 Becker Brothers upright grand.
Wow.
Beautiful carving in the wood on the front panel. And it was $300.
Get out.
I was like, he wasn't my husband yet, but I was like, I almost felt like I was getting away with something, and I was just like, let's go, let's do it. we're taking it.
Did you get it?
I got it. That's the piano I have.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
See, but people don't know how to get rid of them. It's amazing. Like, you can
know.
find pianos for free.
Yes.
People
yeah.
will pay you to remove them from their house. And back in the days, it was like, what do you mean you don't have a piano?
Yeah. And they're like, oh, it just takes up too much space. And I always, like, gives me heartbreak when like, if we're doing it in clients' home and they just like discard the piano like it's just a piece of trash. And I'm like,
right.
But it's beautiful. And sometimes they're like baby grands.
Right.
And you're
people
just
don't know
like,
what they have. They have no use for it.
Yeah, I know. They don't.
And that's, I'm like that when I see China and crystal in the trash because, I pick trash too. I have no shame. I mean, really. I live in an area where people just discard stuff. Sometimes I'm wondering, like, what are they thinking? And I don't know if you checked my Facebook page last night, but we went doing our round. We do our rounds on Tuesday night, either north side or south side of my town or one town over. And I found an entire tea set from Slovenia in pristine condition, still in its original packaging and box. And it was on the sidewalk, and somebody had slightly opened it to see what was in there. Because, I'm not the only one picking the trash. Obviously, I must be inspiring others, or the other way around, whichever came first. And somebody saw that. It was like, nah, that's not for me. I come behind this guy, and I open it, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Dear food, what? And so I did some research on it. The thing is worth $280. I could actually get $200. I'm not going to sell it for that, but I could get $280 for it in its pristine condition. And I get like that. So it's like what you felt about the piano. I feel like that for China and crystal. It's amazing what people discard. Like they just don't see value. They don't care. They just look at something. For them, it's ugly. They don't want it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the China too. And talk about this, because is this something that's like common in where you live, where people can just put anything on the curb, or is it a certain like time of the month, or is it once a week, or how does that even work? Because I don't think that really happens that much around here. Otherwise I'd be like out there.
Well, in Europe, we could talk about a little bit of history here. In Europe, it's called Monster Day.
Okay.
And it comes down from Middle Ages, where back in the days, we're talking 1100, 1200, 1300s, the nuns and the charitable works would go through towns and villages, and you would be allowed to discard of your baby or your child who was deformed, who was technically a monster. And he would be picked up, put in a carriage, and he would go to the orphanage. Lord knows what happened to those children. I fear the worst. But it's been known for being called Monster Day. And now it's called Bulk Day because nobody really wants to acknowledge the history behind it. I don't blame them. So a Bulk Day in my town is every Wednesday. Some towns do it once a month, and it's where you get rid of your bulk stuff. It's usually your furniture, your dishwasher, the big stuff that doesn't fit in a regular garbage pail. But in Paris, it's almost every night. And my sister has been doing that for a very long time. And you would be surprised the stuff you find on the sidewalks at 3 o'clock in the morning in Paris. And I'm going to send her this recording because I have not begged enough in the past 20 years for this particular piece she found. Are you ready for you're sitting down, right?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. She found a 19th century painting of Napoleon as first consul. It's a portrait of Napoleon that is hand painted. It's an oil painting. It is signed 1814. It is the most glorious portrait of Napoleon. It's in her living room. She found it against a garbage can in Paris at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my.
Somebody was moving. They got tired of seeing Napoleon and they got rid of and it's just like, and she found sterling silver sets, Chinese silk screens, amazing stuff. Gem pottery cash bows that people dispose of. They move. They don't want to move it. We don't really have a system where people come in like the charitable agencies like Salvation Army, veterans. They don't come to your house to pick up stuff. We don't really have that. Maybe they do now. I don't know because I haven't been there in so long. But it's amazing the amount of stuff that people get rid of in large cities in France. So going through the trash and picking up things on the sidewalk is not frowned upon in France because people see value in things. Obviously, France has a bigger and longer history than the United States. So people through schooling and through experience and being exposed through exposure alone, they have a little bit more, I would say, appreciation for certain objects, and they can spot something really quick, like, "Ooh, that's a good piece. I know what that is," because they've been exposed to it before. So they would pick it up. And a lot of French homes have this eclectic look. That's a little bit of what you would see in my house, where you would have a piece of furniture from Victorian time next to a piece of furniture that's mid-century. And on top of it is some kind of crystal that is from even earlier times, and it's all mixed. It cohabits into this weird look that's very eclectic, but is so typical of what you would see in French homes. Like, we don't really go to a store and buy the whole living room set, where you buy the 2 sofas with the ottoman, with the coffee tables and the matching lamps. We don't do that in France. It doesn't really happen that way. People pick and choose what they want, and sometimes it doesn't match, and that's okay. Because that's what you like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the picking up trash for me is kind of like, it's a treasure hunt. It's like you never know what you're going to find.
Oh my gosh. I'm doing it right now even. Like, I start getting more and more on the edge of my seat. And when I watch your videos and you're going through and you're finding this stuff. And
like Barbie dolls, right?
I was just going to talk about that. Yes. You found the vintage Barbie and Ken with their cases and the clothing, and and you knew it was valuable, and I loved it because you were so excited, and then you get me excited, and then
actually it's not Ken, it's Dr. Kildare or something like that. It was Chamberlain, but it doesn't matter because I have the Ken clothes and I have the raincoat, the lined raincoat alone. Just that piece of clothing is worth $40. But it's a 1958 Barbie, the bubble cut 1958 Barbie that still has the patent pending written on the back. It's written on a butt, on the right cheek. That's what it's stamped. And we're made in Japan. It says Japan on her foot. And she's series number 5.
Wow.
Like sometimes you see them for $200 on eBay and the Series 11. I got a number 5 off the trash. Okay.
From the trash. Oh, it's
But
so amazing.
she does have green ear, because the earrings back then were made of brass, and if the little girl kept the earrings inside the doll, the brass would corrode, and it would give this green tint all over the plastic. And that, I have to be honest, is very difficult to remove. So I'm going to do a series where I'm probably going to ruin the doll, and everybody's going to kill me on the internet for ruining the doll. But I want to be very clear. I found it in the trash.
Yes.
It was going to the trash anyway. Okay. But I want to clean the clothes, and I want to press them, and I want to make reproduction of clothes, and I want my grandiose idea here is to sell it, clean it. There's a way of cleaning it with CLR, where you leave the CLR on the cotton pad on the stain, and you leave it on, and it takes about a month to get rid of that green. It's a very long process. So that doll, letting you know right now, folks who are listening, is not going to be up for sale until at least February or March. Just saying. So my idea here is to make some vintage clothes for it and just sell it as a full closet with the Barbie doll, with the accessories and everything, and make quite a bit of money because people collect.
They do,
you know, and yes, you threw it out, and I guess they either didn't care or didn't know what they were throwing away.
Yeah, there are definitely people out there that collect Barbies. They know everything about every one of them, and so that's who's going to purchase this, and they're going to appreciate it. So that also can make you feel good too.
It's a whole world out there. And again, I don't know much about Barbies. I've been looking at it, you know, here and there, browsing the internet. Oh my goodness, it's a whole universe of Barbie collectors. And I mean, they go to
they're
great lengths.
They're serious. Yeah. I've seen it. But I don't know that much about it either. But if I were to see that in the trash, I still would know there's value in it because I know that there's people who collect that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
1958 Barbie and a midge.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because there's some stuff that it's just interesting because I'm amazed and I learn like, you know, because there's stuff that you pass on and I'm like, what was wrong with that? But you're like, that's not going to sell. I've had this in my shop and those didn't move and you know, so there's
some stuff that doesn't sell. You know, I mean, and sometimes I know it won't move because the price is going to be too high.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you have to take that into consideration too. I mean, the majority, I would say, of people who purchase from my Etsy shop are people who are coming from my YouTube channel. And I have to be considerate of that as well. I don't want to put up items that are like going to be $600, $700. Like, who am I kidding? You know, I'm trying to be a normal, regular girl here. And I have a Etsy shop that's going to be luxury items like this. It doesn't compute to me. It's got to match. Okay. So I'm struggling in every aspect of my life. I'm trying to make an extra income and I want people to enjoy stuff. Sometimes they purchase it because it's from me. Sometimes they purchase it because they had one. Sometimes they purchase it like the blue Delft because you liked it.
Oh, love it.
Thank you for that purchase. But I don't want to seem like I'm greedy either, you know?
Yes.
Some items I know I could sell for a lot of money. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me not bother with this.
Well, yeah, and you're pretty transparent about that on your channel. And I admire that because you are fair. You sell things for, I think, a very fair price. And just because you could get a certain more higher price, you don't do that because I think you also want to sell it. And like you said, you know, a lot of it's coming from your audience, but that, you know, people will enjoy it and appreciate it. And it's not, I mean, it is about a source of income, of course.
Right.
But I think there's also sort of like a, you know, this is going to a good home.
Right. Well, and then, you know, there's two methods in business. You can either do the slow dime or the fast nickel. So you can either sell a lot of things that are a nickel, or you can wait to sell 2 or 3 things are a dime. So it's, you know, it's about the quantity. Right now we're in a phase where we want to try to sell as much as we can to build a following and have an Etsy shop that has good standing in terms of the amount of items that it sells, because these are the Etsy shop that usually gets promoted on top of the page.
Okay.
And it's based on your ratings. It's based on the reviews. It's based on the number of items that you've sold. So if I put things out there that are staying in the shop for 7-8 months and I only have 2 sales, I'm going to remain an unknown in the world of Etsy. And that's not what I want to do. I want to really establish a shop, because that was always one of my dreams, was to have one of those little needful things type shop in, like a mom and pop type little boutique in town. I'd love to do that.
Oh, yeah. You would have the cutest little shop, too.
It would be a cheese salon, too. So come and chit-chat with me, and I'll tell you, you need to know about piano babies.
I love it. So we're nearing the end, but we have to talk about the quilting, because
yes.
Because a lot of my listeners are quilters. I'm a quilter. And when I saw you quilting on your show, I was like, yay! It was fun. And you even, one of my first videos that I watched, it was a few years ago, you were making a little space for your quilting area, and it was just at the bottom of the stairs, and it was like a little small corner.
Right.
And
it's still there, yeah.
Is that where it's still at? Because I feel like it's in a different space. I feel like it's in a different spot.
It's still, no, I just moved the table the other way, but it's still there. That's the only space I have, really.
But it seems so much bigger than what it was originally. Maybe it's just the direction you placed the table in then.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah. And it's more well lit now, too, because it was... first it was because you were talking about the lighting, how it was an issue. So, but yeah, how long have you been quilting? Because I don't think you've been quilting that long, right?
No, not long. I made a quilt. Here's another thing. Like you grew up in Europe, we don't really do quilts. That's really an American thing. And we always associated quilts with Amish and Quakers and all of these, different groups. And patchwork is pretty popular in England, but it's really not something that caught up in France. France is more about embroidery and the cross stitch and sewing. Definitely, everybody knows how to sew over there. So when I was growing up and it was all about America, I want to be an American, I want to move to America, which I finally did. Quilting was always something that interested me. So, but I don't know how to sew. My mom skipped that part in the teaching. She taught my sister how to sew, but she didn't teach me. And so I would say that I have 2 left thumbs when it comes to sewing. I'm really not that good, but I always wanted to learn to quilt. So I'm self-taught. And I made one quilt that I've kept. Back in the days, I think my first one had to be 4 years old, so it was 13 years ago. And it was a total disaster because I had no skills whatsoever. I mean, the binding is all messed up. I didn't know how to do binding. And it was horrible. So I gave up. And then I decided to pick it up again. I really out of interest because I like quilts. I like to look at them, to touch them. I'm a very tactile person, so I like the texture of a quilt. And I really wanted to master this. Well, I'm kidding myself. I'll never master it. But I really wanted to get my feet wet into this, water of this whole idea of quilting. So I said, okay, well, what do I have to lose? Let's just try it again. And I got hooked.
That's what happens.
I finally found something that was my me time, that was creating relatively small of a mess compared to scrapbooking. Because I used to scrapbook, and it was amazing the amount of debris that scrapbooking would create, and it was impossible to clean up. It would take days and days to clean up the mess from 2 scrapbook pages that you created. But quilting, I felt that I could spend some time doing that, and the result was really beautiful. And that's something you can gift.
True. Yes.
I love the idea of, do you know that since I've started quilting, I've only kept maybe 2 or 3 items. The rest has been any big quilts I've made have been gifted.
Mm-hmm.
I've not kept any big quilt. And I love that you can make something and sign it and give it to somebody either for display or they're actually going to use, and they're going to last.
Mm-hmm.
Like a quilt is almost indestructible if you think about it. If it's well made, unlike mine, it would last a very long time. They don't come up at the seam or anything, but it's very addictive. And it's a great therapeutic tool. Anybody out there, if you have issues with anxiety, if you have issues with feeling isolated, get yourself a sewing machine. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can buy your brother sewing machine or a Singer sewing machine under $100. Mm-hmm. All you need is straight stitches and maybe a zigzag. Mm-hmm. And start quilting. Do something simple. I have videos on my channel to show you how to do simple, the basic stuff, the flying geese and the half square triangles. That's the basic foundation for any quilts. Mm-hmm. And start quilting, and you will find your anxiety will diminish. You will not be focusing on your loneliness or your solitude or any issues that you have. And next thing you know, it's 6 hours later.
That's what I was going to say. Always feel like I go into a time warp, and that time just goes by like that when I am quilting.
And you get totally swallowed into it. And yeah, it's frustrating at times. You got to get the Sim Reaper and but it's so rewarding. It's so satisfying. I love it. Sometimes you would hear me complain in the house, I haven't quilted in 3 weeks. Something's gotta give. I'm going downstairs and I don't want to hear about anything. I'm quilting.
It's funny.
and it draws you back. You want to go back and you can't wait. And as you're quilting, you know what you're thinking about? Your next project. Mm-hmm. You're not thinking about the current project because that's on automatic. Mm-hmm. You're just like going through the motion. You're doing your quilting or you're doing your hand sewing, and you're already thinking about your next project. Like, what am I going to do? Am I going to do this one or that one? Oh, how about these colors? And you start thinking about your fabric stash, and it's just like you get swallowed into this universe. And I get it. That's something that I totally get it. Like, people will quilt until their fingers can no longer quilt. Mm-hmm. I've seen ladies with horrible arthritis and they can't quilt anymore. But gosh darn it, they will still figure out a way to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Bigger stitches, maybe.
Well, yeah. And since they made these die cutting machines, a lot of people with arthritis get those because
absolutely.
Scissors and rotary cutters hurt their hands, wrists, or arms, and even these die cutters are you press a button and they're electric and they go. I've got the little one that you crank through, but it's fun.
And you can get the pre-cuts too. I mean, if you want to learn to quilt and you don't know, I have no problem telling people that buy a pre-cut quilt. And put it together.
Yeah.
At least you'll get a feel for it.
Right,
Don't be a fabric snob. Don't be a pre-cut like, oh, I'm not going to do pre-cut. Do what it takes for you to learn and enjoy yourself. It's a hobby. It's a craft. There's no rules on how it has to be done.
Right. And even if it's a pre-cut or it's a quilt kit, it's still like made by you and
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And there was one quilt that you showed, and I think it was for your father-in-law, but it was very patriotic.
Oh, yes. The quilt of valor. Yeah. That was a challenge, that quilt, because I wanted to learn a skill that I had not acquired yet. And it's directional fabric.
Ah, okay.
And some of the triangles in that quilt, it's actually, if anybody is a quilter out there, it's a galaxy quilt. And if you're a quilter, you know which one I'm talking about. It's got like all these stars, and it makes those circles that are really not circles, but it's just the way the fabric is positioned. It feels like it's circles, almost like the Olympic rings with stars in it. And I picked a fabric that had little American flags, but the little banners, and they pointed in a specific direction. And I needed all of them, regardless of where they were positioned in the quilt, to have the flag going down. So I had to learn to cut directional fabric, meaning like everything had to be cut where the flag would go down. So it didn't matter if it was a sideways triangle going left or a sideways triangle going right or a triangle that was upside down or downward. The flag always had to look the same way. And let me tell you, did I waste a lot of fabric learning the process, but I got it. And now my next quilt, if it has directional fabric, I'll know how to do it. Every quilt that you make is a learning experience. It's amazing how from one quilt to another you acquire a new set of skills that doesn't get lost with that quilt. You carry it on to the next quilt. And that's what I love about it, is that every quilt that you make is going to get better and better and better.
It really does. Yeah.
It does.
And you're right, because quilting is, that's what I love about it. It's always challenging and you're always learning. And I always want to learn forever. Just, I want to soak up all the knowledge and the experience and to make things. I'm a maker. And there's even different types. I mean, so there's foundation paper piecing and, like you said, the English, they do the English paper piecing where they actually hand sew the hexagons and shapes together, and applique. I mean, it's endless. It is such a vast kind of an industry, and there's so many people that do it and love it. And I just love connecting with other quilters and other creative people because we all have that same enthusiasm and love for fabrics and for making all these different patterns and designs and gifting it too. Gifting really it's a big huge part of it.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you what, if you weren't sure about quilting, because a lot of people, when they think quilt, they think the old Americana type quilt, with the basket or, stars and things like this. Check out on the internet where the next quilt show is in your area, and just out of curiosity, go see a quilt show, and you're going to be amazed by not just the craftsmanship in regular traditional American patchwork type, but also all of the applique work, and then the art quilts. They are not traditional, and they are phenomenal. I mean, you are looking at true pieces of art, and sometimes it's you don't even believe it's fabric and threads. They recreate entire nature sceneries out of tiny little pieces of fabric and with embroidery over it. And it's just amazing. And if you are not inspired to try to at least pick up a needle and thread and put two pieces of fabric together, I don't know what else would do it, because you can only be in awe and inspired when you go to a quilt show. I mean, I feel so little when I go to a quilt show. I feel like there's no way ever that I'm going to get to this level, but you come out of it motivated because we all buy stuff when we go there. So of course we have ideas of what we're going to do next, but it's go to a quilt show, really. Check it out. Go see what they have and what it's about, because it's not just old ladies around a table putting pieces of fabric together in powdered blue and old pink colors.
Oh no, there's such beautiful fabrics out today, and colors and different styles. So yeah, I'm glad that you're a quilter. It makes me happy when I see you do your quilting, and it is therapeutic, I think, for everyone.
Oh yes, yes,
definitely
very
for me. For
and
sure.
and I'll say it again. If you suffer from anxiety, this is really the one coping skill that will be your biggest ally. You will find that all of your anxiety, all of your triggers, all of that will disappear if you pick up on quilting. Much more so than any other hobby and crafts that I've picked in the past. Quilting is I think, probably the most therapeutic of all of the crafts and hobbies out there.
Yeah, I agree, because I actually do have anxiety. And I don't like huge groups of people. and I'm an introvert. So it's a perfect, thing for me to do
Right.
because it's very relaxing.
It is.
While being challenging at the same time.
Right.
All right. So just in closing, I wanted to ask you, how is the growth of your channel impacted your life, good and bad?
All right, good. I am in absolute awe at the impact that I have made on people in general. I'm just out there doing videos. Some of them I'm aware are silly. Some of them are just like, what was I thinking? And some of them I'm aware are very inspiring. And that's usually the cleaning videos, what we call motivational time-lapse cleaning videos. People seem to like those a lot. To my dismay, because I hate cleaning. But anyway, I'll continue.
See, I would never know that about you, that you hate it, because I really hate cleaning.
I hate cleaning. You can tell that's what the house gets. And listen, over the years, I've pushed myself so much to try to figure out a routine. And sometimes I'm figuring, why don't I just come up with my own system? Mm-hmm. Because I've tried everybody else's system. And I know there's a lot of people who are like me. There's got to be a system that I can put together that would work for people like me. So maybe that's what's the next step with my channel. You never know. We'll call it My Great Challenge, the true art of cleaning for slobs like Sophia. It is challenging in a way. And then I'll talk about the reward. Let me talk about the negative first, because I never want to end on negative.
Oh, okay.
It is challenging in a way that you have to, when you get to a certain level with YouTube, which it's not just in terms of growth in numbers, but it's also in terms of income. Because let's be honest here, and you're not going to have a lot of YouTubers that are going to be willing to say that, it is a source of income. Okay, we continue to do it because it's a source of income, and also a fun thing. I mean, you have to be into it. Obviously, if you feel like you're a slave to it, it's going to transpire in your videos. I think that people are going to see that you're only doing it for content or whatever. That it's challenging in terms of finding fresh new content. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really happy that I've got this Etsy thing going on right now, because I can do a whole side of the channel that is, of course I'm doing the quilting, but I can do other things and new things to add and build on the content. Because I really believe that after a while, people will be tired of watching me clean my sink, even though they're not complaining yet. But eventually people are going to be like, how many times am I going to watch you clean, So it is challenging. And then there's the few far in between complaints that you receive through, messages and through letters and through comments, which I'm real quick to get rid of at this point. You're always going to have the haters, the sour people out there that it doesn't matter what you put out. And I know who they are, Usually, I put a video out, and within 3 seconds of the video being out on YouTube and publicized, there's already a thumbs down. Give me a break. You didn't watch any of the video. I didn't even finish saying, hi, guys, this is Sophia from My Great. Thumbs down. Okay, so I know who you are. You're putting a thumbs down because you don't like me. But what do you watch me if you don't like me?
Right.
See, that's a bit of TV. I don't have cable TV for 2.5 years now. Why? Because I didn't like it. I didn't like what was on it. I didn't like the news. I didn't like the shows. I didn't like any of it. I was being bored beyond tears. Nothing was interesting. It was all fluff. I stopped watching it. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna get to a point when you reach, I think once you reach about 10,000 subscribers, for all the new YouTubers out there, you will see that once you reach 10,000 subscribers, the haters and the trolls are going to start coming out, and they will attack you. And they usually, I gotta be honest, they're usually women, and they always attack you on things that women get hurt by. Your weight, your skin, your hair, your nails, and the state of your house. because that's all they know. And they will say horrible things about your weight, your skin, your hair, your makeup, your clothes, and the state of your house. And they will do that relentlessly until you eventually communicate with them. And that's what they want. They want you to have a dialogue with them.
They want a reaction.
They want a reaction. And if you don't give it to them, then they get emboldened. And now they start attacking you on all sorts of other things. They attack you about your relationship. They attack you about the kind of person you must be at work, the kind of person you must be. And they won't stop. They just continue to do that. So there's only one cure for all of this. Delete the comments. Delete.
Yeah.
There's a very easy tool on YouTube. It's you hide the person from other users. So they feel justified. They feel satisfied. They go and they put their little comment out there. And the comment is basically out there, but the rest of the users on YouTube can't see the comment.
Yeah.
So you just do that. But it's time consuming because that's all I do all day long. I'm constantly monitoring comments. Like, what is it now? Oh, yeah, I got a big zit on my chin. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. What else do you have? Really? I just finished making a cobbler. That's all you got to talk about is the state of my skin. Okay. But you're not going to help that. It's your public figure. People are not everybody is going to buy into it. You're not going to satisfy 100% of the audience. So I had a supervisor once who told me, hey, if half of them hate you and half of them love you, you're doing your job. So think I'm doing my job. I'm okay with that. So that's one of the challenges is looking for good content that is not repetitive. That can be very difficult. And then dealing with the haters and the trolls because they're not going away. New ones will come behind them. And that's okay. You got to be thick-skinned. Let me tell you. If you're insecure, maybe YouTube's not for you. Because they will catch, they're predators, these people. They will profile you really fast. They will know exactly what to say.
But it had to be jarring when those first started to come in for you and just to see, like, I mean, sometimes I just think like, I didn't even know that like people like this existed that could be so vile and full of hatred. Because haters is like a phrase that we use. Oh, the haters, but it's hate, and for what reason? I don't get it.
Well, misery loves company, right?
Right.
And I've talked about it at the beginning of this video. I mean, my field is in psychology, and it's specifically in criminal behavior. I'm not saying these people are criminals, but what I'm saying is that there's a mob effect. That if you're unhappy with something and you can find somebody to co-sign your comment, then you found a new family. And these people gather around the same stuff and they complain about the same stuff and they feel like they have this sense of belonging. And it's part of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Once you get past the shelter and the food and the family, you have this sense of belonging. So sometimes people have a sense of belonging like you and I, where we have our quilting groups and that's these are our folks. They are peeps, they make us happy. And then some people, unfortunately, their sense of belonging comes from being part of a group of haters, of bullies, of people who love to hate somebody together. That's how they get their high. And it's I'm not going to say it's shallow, but it's definitely very maladaptive, because if you think about it, they're spending an inordinate amount of time hating on several people at the same time, and they're not really aware of what it's doing to their own well-being, and how at the end of the day, you've spent 2 hours hating somebody or other people or a group of people, and it's negativity, and that's got to pay a toll on your heart, on it's sap. How does new energy not sapped at the end of the day from all of this negativity? I don't know how you manage, because I'm pretty tired at the end of the day, and that's without hate. So I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you go to bed at night, like with all this hate-filled life of yours, So but I understand the behavior. I get it. It's a
Mhm.
mob mentality. I totally get it. So my position is I'm going to ignore it. But the minute and I want to be very clear, the minute you're going to insult or attack my children, now Mama Bear's coming out, and now we got a
Oh,
problem. That
yeah.
because that's a big no for me. Like if you're going to start making
For
comments
anyone,
about
who would do that? You're just not right.
because these are the people who got emboldened because you didn't respond to their previous comments. So they
Mm,
got to get you to respond. They
mhm.
want to get to you. It's a power struggle.
Yeah.
And but if you're going to attack my kids, now we got a problem. Now I'm
Yeah.
going to come to you. Now you're going to get it because that's the part of Sophia that's the ghetto Sophia that people don't know because she is a ghetto Sophia out there too. You don't spend 15 years of your life working corrections without having some kind of ghetto in you. you know, so
Oh, it's hilarious.
so that's the
But your
negative. But
kids are so cute. Oh my gosh. Your younger
the
son, I love it when he like, comes into the videos and you ask him a question and he's just
yeah,
yeah.
they're both terrific kids.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm blessed.
Mhm.
They are super bright and super smart. I mean, Edward is a cerebral type kid. I mean, his level of intelligence is we surpass my husband and I combined. I mean, and he's been like this since day one. Willie is not as analytical, but man, is he quick on his feet, this kid. Oof. He's going to be something else. So anyway, so that was the negative. Now the positive part is the constant pushing and the challenge. I love that part about being on YouTube. That what am I going to do next? And thinking about the next video, thinking about the next project. And I'm already just like when what I was talking about with the quilting, when you're finishing a quilt and you're already thinking about your next quilt. When I'm doing a video, sometimes I'm thinking about what am I going to do for the next video and what the next project. And that's what's keeping me alive. And I love the interaction. So, yeah, it's true. There's a very small percentage of people who don't like the videos and who are mean and insulting and bullying. And you may not be aware of it because I spent a huge amount of time getting rid of the comments. But if you look at the thumbs down and thumbs up as, let's say, a snapshot, you may see something like 1,200 thumbs up and 13 thumbs down. So I'm not going to worry about the 13, but the 1,200 plus all of the comments, man, what a group of amazing people I have supporting my channel, love what I do. They feel like they're part of my family because they've watched my kids grow on YouTube for the past 6 years. They've watched me grow, literally physically grow in size and shrink and grow and shrink. Right. So I'm horizontally challenged a lot. And so they watch me grow physically, they watch me grow emotionally, they watch me grow, I think, intellectually, and they share that with me. And I tell you, when somebody sends me a card, and it's not just a card, it's a letter, and I know there's several pages in there, I am eager to go home from the post office and sit down for a couple of minutes and read what this person has to say because it's always uplifting. And the amount of stories that I get of people who went through horrible phases in their lives,
Mhm.
and they tell me that, Sophia, I made it because of your video. Oh, like, what do you say to that? Like, what do you mean you made it because of my video? All I do is clean. And they just found a message. They found something uplifting. And that's the reward. And for me, that's why I'm going to continue to do YouTube. It's for these folks out there
Mhm. Yeah.
because I owe it to them. Like, you made it through thick and thin. You made it through horrible parts at times through your lives because I was there with you, and now I'm going to abandon you? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm going to stick around.
That's great. I'm glad you are going to stick around. And I've scrolled through some of your comments. You have a lot of comments too. I don't even know how you keep up with that because I
I
don't.
can't. I can't. It's just
It's so
listen.
much.
On average, if you look at a video, on average, I get about maybe 300 comments within the first 24 hours.
Wow.
And then a year later, you can add another 1,000 of those comments. And I just can't.
No.
There's not enough time in the day for me to respond to all the comments. Sometimes I'm aware that I may respond to a comment in a way that seems to be curt and very short. But understand, I got 300 other people I need to respond to. And sometimes the comment is just going to be, thank you.
Right.
Because that's all I can say in the moment, and I don't want to sound that like I don't have time for folks. I want to have time, but I work full time. I have the side job. I have YouTube. The comments, when I get to them, I can only maybe do 10% of all of the comments are on the videos. And I get it. Some YouTubers get to a certain levels and they just disconnect the comment.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They do that. You can no longer comment because they know they cannot answer all of the comments. And it's not that we're ignoring people. We physically cannot answer all of the comments. Just like around Christmas time, I have between 400 and 500 Christmas cards I receive around the holidays.
Wow.
And I respond to all of them.
Wow.
But I have people who send me messages through Facebook because you can no longer do instant messaging through the YouTube community tab. And they're like, I really wish you would take the time to respond to my card. And it's way past Christmas now and I didn't get a Christmas card from you. I'm like, girl, you're like number 380 here. But you will get your card. It's just you may get it like January 15th. I'm sorry. Because, but it's amazing how many people you reach through this platform.
Isn't it?
It's awesome. I love YouTube.
I do too. I really, really do. And, your channel popped up in my recommendations because I don't really go searching for cleaning videos. And the first video I saw was of you cleaning your kitchen.
And my most popular video is probably the type of video I will never do again. It's got over 1 million views. And it's the video where I compare the real Michael Kors bag versus the fake one.
Yeah.
I got over 1 million views on this video. Are you kidding me? But it's my most popular video. And I will never do a video like this again because, first of all, I don't have the means to, nor the interest to go buy a high-end bag again and compare it to a fake one.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing, like the kind of stuff that people are drawn to. I mean, you think somebody has it on YouTube. There's a video about everything.
That's so true.
Except Corningware. I'm going to have to start doing Corningware videos because there's not enough of those.
Yes. You were making that cobbler and you had the Corningware on the open flame. And I was like, whoa, what is she doing? And then here I go on my phone and I'm looking up Corningware and I found that the older Corningware,
yes,
you could do that, and it was made out of a porcelain. And then in the late 90s or something, they changed the formula, and then they started like exploding on people because people wasn't right. And then after the 2000s, now I think they're starting to make it again where you can put it back on there. But again, I was fascinated, and so do more Corningware videos.
do more Corningware videos. I mean, do that. I'm thinking about it because my love for Corningware is ridiculous. It really is. And we were talking about you got to have the right tools, right? That was the beginning of this video. We were talking about the right tools for cleaning. And you remember when I had the Copper Chef? Okay, so everybody was all about this Copper Chef thing, and I tried it out, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. It cleans up very easily. But guess what happened to the Copper Chef? Eventually, it stopped working. Everything started sticking to it. And guess what? Never sticks. Corningware. It doesn't matter how old it is. Corningware will never stick. It will stay the same, brand new, like it was day one, 30 years later. get yourself some Corningware. Girl, go to Goodwill,
Yeah.
go buy some old Corningware and start cooking with it, and you'll be amazed on how easy it cleans, how beautiful it looks. You can put it directly into your oven, onto your table, back into the freezer and the fridge. Corningware is the best.
That's so
It really
cool.
is.
I know.
There's
I
no-
want to, and you have that nice big one too, where you cooked all the fruit down in it.
the 5-quart one.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I need to
Yeah.
get one of those.
Yeah. They're hard to find, those.
I can imagine.
Especially, yeah, they're hard to find. But you can find them.
Yeah.
But
Well, I do sometimes. I'll have like the eBay, the thing where they'll like notify you every time that item comes up. So yeah, I could do that for that Corningware.
shopgoodwill.com.
Oh yeah.
Check out shopgoodwill.com.
I will check that too.
Yeah, they have good auctions there too.
Well, this has been amazing. And I have, like I said, I scrolled through those comments and they are just so amazing what people say to you, and they're so uplifted and inspired and motivated. So, and I had to have you on my podcast, and
Thank you.
and because you're a quilter, I could tie that into my show. But with the decorating too, because I make and decorate, so it's definitely appropriate for my show. And I couldn't wait to share you with my listeners, because I'm sure they're going to go check you out and become new subscribers, and maybe we'll put you over 50,000 now.
Well,
you probably already will be there anyway by January, so maybe.
Yeah, actually, I may, because if you look at the Social Blade and all that other stuff, but
the analytics, yeah.
But it's, you know what? It's not about the number. It's about the experience. If I only had 10,000 subscribers, but I was getting the feedback I'm getting today, I would get so encouraged to continue. I mean, people restored faith in humanity, really. Through my YouTube, because I'm trying. All I'm doing is being me. There's no fakery at all. Like, what you see is what you get.
That's
it's like I'm so real, because I'll talk about the worst aspects of my life. Like, I don't have any problem talking about my bouts of cystic acne and my weight gain. Like, by the way, I regained all 13 pounds I lost since August, and you probably saw that in the last video. But that's my life. That's who I am. It's and it's real. It's real. It's the struggle that most people have, and I think that's why it makes the channel popular, because people identify with this imperfection.
Oh, totally. And then you said that in one of your videos, like after you came back from Paris, and I'm like, what is she talking about? She is not fat. And but I mean, it's just all.
Hey, listen, it's sort of perfect. It's perception.
It's perception, but a couple of years ago, you did the Weight Watchers thing, and I was right there with you. I was doing my Weight Watchers and going to the meetings and stuff, but that system just doesn't work for me.
They don't work for me either. You know what it is? I think it's sustainability. Yeah. Like, I was really doing really, really good. I was losing weight. I was counting calories. I was really doing good, and I was like, wow, my face is back, and wow, I can see my collarbones. It's like, hey, Sophia is back. Okay? And you know what happens after 2 months? As you get tired and you want to eat the carbs.
Yes.
Holidays are coming. I want my chocolate. It's like, and then as soon as you get a little bit of that taste again, you sleep one day, you sleep another day. Next thing you know, it's a week. Next thing you know, it's a whole month. And now it's been 2 months, and boom, the 13 pounds are back. And that's the same life cycle. Just you see with my house, it's clean one day, then it's a disaster again. And I think that most people are like that. And that's real life.
It's real life. That's
what real life is about.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I just encourage you to keep it real, because that's, I think, what attracts everybody to your channel, and we love you so much. Look at me speaking for everybody. I love you so much.
Thank you.
Well, again, thank you so much. This has been wonderful, and you have shared a wealth of information on this episode, and yeah, I want people to go to your Sophia's channel, My Great Challenge, on YouTube. And I'll put links in the show notes too.
Great.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Stephanie. Bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks for listening to the Make and Decorate podcast. The podcast is produced, recorded, and edited by Stephanie Socha. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.